my jersey on and just know. Tonight on the pregame show presented by AutoNation, it's Military Appreciation Night. And we have a special guest joining us on set this evening. Also, we're going to break down the keys to the match for Inter Miami and fans. Yet another sold out game here at Drive Pink Stadium. All this next.
Slow stare, easy on the eyes, moving slowly like shadows in the night. There will be a reckoning, there will be a rise, something like you've never seen. The time has come. If looks could care, it looks good, it looks good. If looks could care, if looks could care, it looks good, it looks good. Looks could care, you'd be dead right now.
Welcome into the AutoNation pregame show with myself, Kaylin, Kyle, Thomas Rongan, and Chris Whittingham. And if looks could kill, you'd all be dead right now because we look fantastic. It's also Military Appreciation Night, so there's these limited edition jerseys. We got gifted them. We're not giving them back because they're absolutely class. I'm going to tuck them into my mom jeans later on in the week. We have a fantastic show here this evening, but I want to start with Inter Miami. We're gonna turn this into a positive because we are gonna get the 3 points here this evening. I feel it, but we haven't won in six. We only have one goal in the last six matches, and we've conceded 14 in the last six. What do they need to do here tonight to get the job done, TR?
Well, first and foremost, we've beaten this team on the road. One of our two wins this year, and played quite well, I thought. And I know some changes are coming, and then we'll talk about the lineup a little bit later. But one of those changes is very much involved in the W for us on the road. So that gives me a good feeling. I'm bullish about this team. I'm bullish about what Phil Neville has said in the last two days in the press regarding this team as well. I think we'll see a team, or I know we will see a team again in front of a packed stadium, sold out stadium. That there will be some good positive energy. Now, does that translate into being tactically sound, being technically more proficient, moving the ball a little bit quicker, being cleaner in our first touch and in our passing? Are we physically able to contain that threat up front of this Philly team that comes in a 4-4-2? We know what we expect. Does this team tactically have the answers to stop a very good front four or five and a team that defends quite well? By the way, they've only scored 19 goals. Philly. So this is a team without their second and third leading goal scorer. So if there's a time at home to finally get a win, it's I think today against Philadelphia with good energy from starting right here from above, but bring it all the way down to the field.
Thomas, you know what I love about you? Tactically, we're not supposed to jump to that till the
Sorry.
third segment. So you're really scratching my first segment that I had planned here. But we look at Philly. They're coming off a 2-1 loss versus Orlando. Yes, we're coming up. We're not even going to touch on our last game, okay? We've completely forgotten
Yep.
about that. But the mindset, the mentality of these players, it needs to change, and it has to start this evening, Chris.
Yeah, and to add to Thomas's point, just in terms of what Philadelphia brings, they also played on Thursday night in Orlando in a lightning delayed game. So they're on short rest. They went straight from Philly to Orlando to Miami. So they're at the end of a long road trip. But yeah, if you're talking from a mentality standpoint, there's not a thing that needs to improve more than the mentality. And I think you mentioned something to us in the build-up, which is that Gregory is named the captain for tonight's game.
Mhm.
He is not on the leadership council that was named before the season. And I think it's because Gregory kind of embodies something that they were missing very much on Wednesday. That hard-charging effort, his ability to put tackles in and really look like he cares
Mhm.
and really give an honest effort in the game. And I think that was such a big presence that was missing on Wednesday night. And hopefully with his reintroduction, with a couple of other tweaks, we'll see a completely different team from a pure just effort, energy, intensity. And hopefully, if Inter Miami goes down a goal tonight, which we certainly hope that they don't, that it doesn't completely break them, which it did on Wednesday. It cannot be if you concede a goal that the rest of the game becomes affected from there.
Chris, don't give it the commentator's curse already early on, all right? This is the pregame show. We're supposed to be hyping people up at home. But I like that you alluded to that with Gregory back in the midfield. Obviously, he was supposed to miss the New York match. That game got delayed or canceled due to that weather delay there. They couldn't get back that night due to implications with the weather. They finally got back and then had that midweek disastrous of a game. So it was interesting speaking to Phil Neville of why he has done it. And you just touched on all the points. He epitomizes the player that Phil wants in his team. He is the workhorse in training, he's the workhorse in games, and he's really dictating where people need to be on the pitch and holding people accountable, where we haven't really seen that consistently. I want to talk about a little bit about the last game, and I want to talk about the result. But that first 10, 15 minutes, TR, we were on the front foot, we were getting after them, pressing high up the pitch. What went wrong?
As Chris said, I mean, as soon as we conceded that first goal, things went south. In saying that, Kalen, you're absolutely right. I remember Robbie Robinson having that great cut inside and striking a ball from distance, testing their goalkeeper. I know Higuain on that right side with some dribble penetration to creating, a 50-50 chance for us as well. And we didn't look vulnerable in transition defense. We became that way after giving up two poor set pieces where we should have defended better, and Phil talked about that. Makoun being one of them, obviously. I feel bad for Marsman, who obviously came out after the game and said it was a total disaster, and talked about the transition defense not getting numbers behind there. And that's where Gregory is huge, obviously, because this Philly team is somewhat similar to New England. When they break quick and with numbers, and particularly centrally with Montero, who will start, where Gregory will be more aggressive, win balls, but also drive us forward more. His body language is always positive. That's so good. And as Chris said, if we go down, which I don't think we will, then somebody like Gregory, who's now your captain, can lift the spirits of a team. And Kayla, you've been there and done that. If you have one or two teammates that hold other players accountable, that look in their faces, that rattle cages sometimes physically, and you've done that, and I've
Easy
done
on
that.
the Blazer,
Sorry. But you know how important that is. And then players need to respond, which I think they will.
So, Chris, talk to me. I want to talk about a few players that featured for Miami last match, Marsman being one of them. Now, I thought he was brilliant. I went home, I was speaking to my husband, a former player as well, and I said he was absolutely incredible. Now, my husband missing the match was like, but look at the score. And I said it should have been about 11-0 in that match. Talk to me. What did you like about him?
Yeah, so first off, I just thought he was as crisp on the ball at his feet that I thought he would be. I thought he was able just to help in that area. Didn't really lead to much. But just in terms of not losing your head, right? He's probably jumping into an environment going, what is happening in front of me right now? And I think he was correct to point out the level of organization in front of him. I think on the overall, the transition has been so easy for opposition this season. And in terms of just being able to find massive amounts of space on the counter. And so I think he's got to probably, along with the defenders, help with marshaling, help with, yeah, we can go forward, but you've got to correspondingly come back as well and limit these counterattacking opportunities, because Philly will take advantage. They'll try and press you up the pitch. They'll try and press you into difficult situations. And if you give the ball away, it cannot lead to easy goal scoring chances. Now, I think also just the resilience just in terms of making saves, even after you concede the first couple of goals, and he's still out there preserving one-on-one opportunities against that New England team. So I think he pretty well proved himself that he's here to be a number one goalkeeper. And as your husband said, it has to be odd that he most proves himself in a game in which you give away 5 goals.
Now, Thomas, you've been a manager and a player at the highest level. Not taking anything away from you. I've seen you on 7-a-side. You're brilliant. But talk to me. How do they work on that transition? Because it's consistent week in and week out of how they get done. They get done on that counterattack, that pocket in between the back line and the midfield, and defenders getting sucked out. What needs to change?
Well, I mean, on both sides of the ball, you got to be more balanced. And what I mean by that is when you have the ball, we moved it at times, and particularly in the first 50 minutes of the first half, but also we started out brightly in the second half. When you can get 10, 12 passes together and you get numbers in front of the ball, then I call it and rest organization is so important. In particular, your two center backs, LGP, Soccer, need to make sure they steer people in front of them and make sure that you can kill something by either fouling or in transition defense. But press together, not just 8 or 9, but all 11. Or you make a decision, you know what? We don't have the good numbers there. We need to get numbers behind the ball and keep the ball and players in front of us. That's the organization that Phil Neville needs to work on. And that's what starts with Marshman going centrally through the axis. Gregory is important there with his nonverbal communication, steering people in front of him. And I hope that we can be more compact on both sides of the ball, because if you're that, you're at the ability to win the ball back and not getting exposed, because we don't have great athleticism and speed, obviously, when these teams get behind us. It's all about soccer IQ and organization at the end of the day.
I love it. Well, I'm going to pump the brakes on the tactics because we got 2 more segments of that, and we're going to break it down even deeper. But when we come back, we have a very special guest tonight. Guest joining us this evening for Military Appreciation Night. All this next.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. And like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual. And it never tasted this good.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here, the Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new Bourbon Bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Islands?
Oh, shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get him on the table! I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back into the AutoNation Pre-Game Show with myself, Thomas Rung, Chris Whittingham, and excuse you two, but we have the most handsome man in the stadium. You're suited, you're booted. Thank you so much for joining us on this Military Appreciation Night. Jorge Pacheco, I pronounced that right? I practiced like 1,800 times, but honestly, it's a massive honor that you're joining us. I want to ask you a quick question before we dive into it and really put you on the hot seat. Are you digging these?
You know what? I'd like to take one of those.
We need to get you. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to help you out with that. We're going to definitely get
I
you
can
one.
give you the one off my back. I mean, you
I'll
deserve it.
take
You,
that
you
too.
deserve it more than I do.
Oh, 100%. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm 23 years old. I came from Honduras when I was like 10, and I've been here ever since then. I decided to join the military when I was about 19. It was a long process, but I was able to get through it, and the experience has just been amazing ever since then. I really do like that.
So you're based here in Miami at the
I
moment.
am,
And what are you
correct.
doing in Miami at the moment?
So this past year I've been working COVID orders. So I basically like testing sites, vaccines, and all that. So we've been doing that for I was in Fort Myers for the first 6 months. After that, we came here to Miami in Tropical Park. We were here for another 6 months. You know, working with people. We're seeing like 4,000 people a day. So it was just back to back, crazy. But at the end of the day, it was a great experience.
So wait, Chris, I know you want to jump
Yeah.
in. I have to say something about this because I'm petrified of needles, by the way. Petrified. And I went to the Tropicana when you guys were working. So I got my first
Yeah.
shot. It wasn't the best. And then my second, I was sitting there sweating. I was so nervous. And the guy was like, okay. And I was like, no, I'm ready. He's like, no, you're done. So thank you for making that experience
No
absolutely
problem.
incredible for someone that passes out through needles. Go on, Chris. I had to say that, though.
So in terms of working the COVID sites, I was interested that the military we think of the military in one way, right? But
Correct.
what has the involvement been? What are the roles for military members in putting those sites together? Because it's obviously so massive towards the vaccination effort.
Right. So at first, when it first happened, we were in Fort Myers, so we were in charge of setting everything up. So everything, all the tents and all that, we were setting it up, cones, like tables are gonna be at, and then after that, our job was basically helping the nurses. So we were basically like writing information down, writing people. So it was so hot because it was like the beginning, everything we didn't know. It was a lot of trial and error. We didn't know what was going on at first. Like writing information down, license, everything. The process got easier through the time, but at first it was just get used to that process, and it was just basically helping nurses and all that, and then controlling traffic, knowing when people were gonna go or where they were gonna be at.
Well, thank you very much for what not only you but our whole military does. Obviously,
Appreciate it.
so important on all levels. You're talking about the vaccine, but we're also talking about protecting us each and every day. I'm sure you're from Honduras, so you must like soccer.
Don't cheat the
I do.
system,
And-
TR.
and-
You
and-
asked him
and-
before the show.
Unfortunately, you guys have beaten us now in the last two Olympics. to
That's
qualify
correct, yes.
For this time, it's Tokyo, obviously. And you guys were off to a good start. Am I correct? What was the first
Correct.
game?
We were a good start in Tokyo. We actually, let me take that back. We lost the first game, but yesterday we were able to beat New Zealand. So it was a
Huge.
it's a good
Nice.
experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with another win, you probably end up second in the group and go to
Correct.
the next
Yeah.
round, which is
they got to win. If they don't win, then
All right.
they're gonna be eliminated.
I love it. So, Jorge, I want to ask you just a quick question because I love putting people on the hot seat. Who do you support? What soccer team, football team, wherever you are in the world?
That's actually a really hard question. Honestly, I'm gonna go right now with USA. I really do enjoy them, watching them play and all that. Especially that I'm here. Being able to travel and see going to see the games in different stadiums and all. Atlanta, here, Miami. So it's like USA for me is like I basically grew up here. So I gotta go with them for
But
now.
professional team.
Like
Yeah,
club
yeah,
team,
yeah.
no club team.
Oh, sorry,
club
club team. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
hello. That should be an obvious one.
Okay,
See
so
this season.
after Inter Miami, who would be your club team that you support?
After Miami, it would be Real Madrid.
Nice.
Oh,
There
I
you
love
go.
it.
There you go.
Actually, it Wayne. He's
Yeah.
played for
Yeah.
Madrid, so watching him play here,
David
let me
Beckham's
go
down
watch it.
there as well. So
As well
He's sporting a new haircut, by the way.
Yeah.
If you guys
Correct.
haven't seen it, he's
bleach
got
blonde
like,
hair.
I mean, he's
That's nice.
kind of taken my look. So
Ooh,
I'm gonna
correct.
Have a word?
You're welcome, David Beckham, for
And
taking
that
my look.
Real Madrid all white jersey would look good on him right now. So that's a good pick.
That's really
Real
good.
Madrid, absolutely.
So for people tuning in, I always like to keep it light and bright. So what is your most favorite thing to do here in Miami when you're not working and basically saving us all?
I like playing soccer a lot, so I go to KSB Kendall Soccer Park and
Nice.
hang out and play with some friends and all that. I actually I do shooting a lot. Like I just practice. I like doing that. I feel like I'm really good at it, but just practicing and doing other things with the family and everything.
You know what we need to do? We need to invite you out. Well, you guys actually haven't been invited yet. You haven't made the. Sorry, guys. They haven't made the 7
You're
aside.
stepping into a cauldron here. There's some politics.
So I'm sorry.
We haven't been invited to the staff soccer game yet.
Dude,
This is a bit awkward. This is a bit awkward.
The three of us will start a
starting
team.
our own.
We'll
make
bring
our own.
four
Make our
more
own
from
team.
your
Correct,
country.
yes.
Like kick their butts, okay?
I'll
All right, let's do it.
I'll send you an invite.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Ridiculous.
So tonight, obviously, is this your first time at an Inter Miami match?
Second time.
Second time.
Second
Okay, what was the
time.
first game you came to here?
Same first game. Actually, I went to Orlando. So it was Orlando and
so you're a traveling supporter as
Yeah,
well. I love it.
yeah,
Okay, so
I
now,
love it.
obviously, we know you like Higuain, but who's your favorite player on the team? Well, I'm really putting you on the hot seat.
Yeah,
here tonight.
you are.
I'm not talking about work. No one wants to talk about work.
You know what? I actually take next question.
So just in terms of going forward here, so when you decided to join the military, I don't know what you kind of went into in terms of expectations, but once the vaccine effort kind of winds down, what do you think is next for you?
So actually, the battalion right now is deploying. So October they're gonna deploy, and we don't know where we're going yet. We just have a date for it now. So it'll be October 7th about that.
Okay. Well, best of luck and thank you for all that you do.
Yeah,
And
thank you so
vamos,
much.
dale, Honduras. I'm not going to root for Honduras because the U.S. is not in it.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
We really, honestly, really appreciate. There's not, but we can't give you enough thanks
Yeah.
for what you not only do daily, but just honestly within the community, within the United States. I'm a Canadian living here, so I'm actually not even
Brilliant.
American, but my two boys
What you-
are. So everything that
What you
guys
can
are
do
doing,
is give him a jersey. Yeah.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna sort that out. I will. I promise you.
I'll be looking forward
Manu,
to it.
if you're listening to me, we're gonna need to sort that one out. But no, honestly, thank you so much again for joining us, Jorge.
Awesome.
Now, stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it because when we come back, we're going to break down the tactics and the keys to the match for Inter Miami being successful here tonight.
The school bus.
The Zach wagon.
Wally.
No matter what you call your car or why you're letting it go, AutoNation will buy it, and you don't have to buy one from us. We're paying top dollar right now. So go to AutoNation.com or come see us for a super easy appraisal. Get paid on the spot, and you can deposit it the same day. Visit any AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. What drives you drives us.
For the community.
Because now I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
To protect my patients.
Because I wanted to protect myself.
So I could go visit my mom.
To protect my husband.
I said yes to the COVID-19 vaccine because I have been the one present in the room with a patient's last breaths.
If more people were vaccinated, we could put an end to this pandemic and get back to some sense of normalcy.
Today tastes like a fresh start, like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds, and like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual, and it never tasted this good.
Rhythm. It flows through all of us. But rhythms change. That's why Ford SUVs are built to match your tempo.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new bourbon bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Islands?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get him on the table! I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back into the AutoNation Pre-Game Show with myself, TR, Chris Whittingham. Well, I pulled some strings, okay?
Hey.
I ran around the stadium.
KK,
you
love
are
it.
welcome. I don't know if it will fit. It's going to be a dry fit on you. It's a medium, okay? We
Correct.
know you work out.
I like
anyways, it's the least we could do.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks again for coming up.
Right here.
Thanks for everything you do.
All right.
Ciao,
so,
ciao. Again, vamos, dale, Honduras.
I didn't pull any strings. I basically...
Well,
no, we did.
No one needs to know that, Kaylin.
That's true.
You pulled strings.
You know what? I was running around the stadium in my clogs. Okay, I want to break down some tactics here tonight.
Yes.
Are you guys ready? I know you tried to jump to it. I'm going to start with Chris, okay?
Start with Chris.
Because
as,
I know
as a punishment.
Where's your tactical board? You have your. Actually, you know what? Let's start with TR.
All
No,
right.
because you have the lineups on there. Go on.
I didn't come with displays. Yeah, so Philadelphia, in terms of what they propose in terms of as opposition, it's actually going to be pretty similar to what we saw from New England on Wednesday. Just probably not what you want to hear at the moment. But they're going to play out of a diamond. They'll be a little bit more of a hard pressing team than New England were. But we've seen Philly now.
This is
the fourth time. Yeah, here is the starting lineup. Thomas has it written out. They've only made one change from the team that lost to Orlando on Thursday, and that's Leon Flock coming into midfield in for Sergio Santos, which pushes Daniel Gazdak up to the forward line. The Hungarian will play alongside Kacper Shabilko. So it's a 4-4-2. But Thomas, tell us about their pressing.
It's very good, Chris. And if you look at it, it is 4-4-2 right now. The key is that this front.
Here, I'll hold it for you, TR.
This front six is so good in making play predictable. Not only do they come hard, but they force you one way, either left or right.
Yeah.
And then, as I said again, everybody just goes this way. It becomes very tough to play out of these areas right here. So it's important. I think Miami today, they're understanding on when to go direct a little bit versus building. Because again, we look at Figal last week, a poor pass leads, pressure leads to a goal there. When do we need to find our front runners? When can we build? And that will be determined by how aggressive this team is. Chris is right, though. If they come early and hard, I don't know if they have the legs, though, to continue to do this for 90 minutes. So, in this weather, one less day of rest. They play Thursday night. That's going to be a question. Actually, their back four is pretty good, although they're missing their second leading goal scorer. Glasner is their second leading goal scorer starting today, by the way, because Santos is not starting. So it all comes down. If we can keep the zero for longer stretches, I think we're in this game, as we've talked about.
And I know you said that their back line was good, but they've also conceded 15 goals already this season. Now, I want to jump to Inter Miami because you guys just touched on the pressing, the relentlessness of this Philly side. Obviously, probably will come out on the front foot to try to catch Inter Miami out after coming off that defeat. If you're Inter Miami, Chris, going into a match like this, do you come out high pressing like you did that last match, or do you sit back in and just absorb the pressure for the first 15, 20 minutes?
Well, the thing is that Philly is not really a possession team. They want to create opportunities out of the moments that they create with the pressure. So I think Miami will have a chance to play out, but the question is, do you put yourself at risk if you're playing out from the back and all of a sudden you give one ball away, you feed into Philly's system, and all of a sudden they're in. So I don't know. I think the answer usually when you play against this kind of system is to go over the top of them, but I'm not sure that that's Miami's greatest strength either. So it'll be up to Phil Neville to come up with a game plan that is corresponding. Is that generally what you do against the pressing team, is basically knock it over?
Interesting. And Chris and I talked about it, and he gave me a great touch of information. Also, Andres as well. Their right back has a higher percentage of passes in the 18-yard box than any other player in MLS.
Wow.
What does that mean? Normally Bedoya comes a little bit high here or plays out to win. This guy loves to go forward.
Olivier Bizo is his name.
Can we get advantage of being a little more direct and getting behind their fullback as well, forcing Glasner here, and then hopefully creating some 1v1 situations centrally with our number 9 and our number 10. Wagner, by the way, who is the leading assist guy for this team as well, likes to go forward too. So when they get numbers going forward, Kalen, I really think we could find some isolations with their two center backs, and with hopefully Robbie Robinson still starting, we'll talk about it a little later, we might have success in being more direct in this game than building all the time, because we built in a very slow fashion. The first ball is either sideways or backwards. That allows other teams to get numbers behind the ball. Can we find that nice balance between being direct and also being able to have a slower build-up?
So if you're Gibbs in this match, you just touched on this right-handed side for Philly, loves to get forward, has great service. What do you do with someone like Gibbs that also has that great service? Do you keep him back connected to that back four, or do you just play that little bit of that cat and mouse?
It's about, for me, it's as much about Robbie Robinson as well and his desire to track back, because if Olivier Bizo is going to get forward, you don't want all of a sudden Kieran Gibbs to be overloaded on that left-hand side. But yeah, I do think it's about that cat and mouse game. I think in this match, after you give away 5 goals in midweek, it is about preserving a shape. I think you do want your fullbacks to get forward, and hopefully we'll see Kelvin Leerdam at some point in this match. He might come off the bench, but I think it's much more about preserving a shape and not getting beat as you did on Wednesday. Then sending your fullbacks forward, all of a sudden you're tracking back and you're filling in gaps.
But I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here. Do you not? They're playing with 2 double screens. We're gonna jump into the starting 11s in just a moment with Gregory and Ioa. Would you not have them help create almost that back four and push Gibbs and Figel a little bit higher up to hold Philly back a little bit?
You know what? I think it's a great point, Caleb. Where we have been vulnerable, and it's surprising because we always play with basically double pivot, so to speak, in front of that central, which is Sawgrass and LGP, but the chances created come from central areas as well. I'm actually today saying, you know what, Figel and Kieran Gibbs, be a little bit more adventurous, quite frankly. Have one of them sit. I would say, like right now we'll always sit here. Let him open himself a little bit up
Gregory,
and see if we can have some really joy with Morgan and with Robinson out wide. I like, and it might be in the next segment, but that Federico is starting in this game, who is proven to be our best number 10 and also the difference maker at Philly when he came off the bench, when he provided an assist or two for his brother to win that game as well. So I like this connection right here, but huge game for Kieran. First start for Kieran Gibbs, huge game for Figel, who really struggled in the last game as well. So can he give us a little more going forward that we've seen, which we didn't really see from him? I thought he was very passive in this game.
And I think the one thing with Figel that never lets up is he's still going to fight. Yes, he did have a bad performance, but he did fight. Now, one point for me in this back line that hasn't quite been there is LGP, whether it's on the ball, off the ball, just caught out of positioning. How do they sort that out? Does it come down to Marsman and net, or does it come down to Shawcross just holding him in a little bit tighter?
Both are, I think, very important. Nick Marsman is known, and I saw him trying to guide his back four in several ways of dropping, but also pushing them out. So information given here. Information between these two is vital. LGP's been in this league now 3 or 4 years, so his English is good. Sawgrass can guide him as well. LGP is more of an emotional guy that might not always be able to scan the field and say, okay, let's drop that step. So he's important. He's got another veteran next to him in Kieran Gibbs that can guide him as well. And then the guidance from these two guys going forward, and then going forward with verbal is very important. Step, drop, you know, the simple information needs to be given, even in a loud stadium, that gives us a chance, as I said again, to stay. We need to stay compact. We can't get stretched, which we did against New England, and then all of a sudden we're being taken apart.
And someone like Gibbs hasn't played since January, obviously featured in the last game, so probably maybe you'll only see 60 minutes here this evening. So potentially when that sub does happen, do you think someone like Phil Neville does go back to that 3 in the back and adds the wing backs into a match like this?
I'll be curious. I mean, you can kind of shift things around in that back four, but I honestly would like to see the return of Breck Shea as a left back. He's mostly played as a winger for Phil Neville, and last year he played some games as a left back. But
Atlanta as well, he did.
Yeah, and in my view, I think just looking at this game, and you do have to take the last result in mind. We're talking a lot about progressing and attacking. I think you can say Philadelphia is coming in off 2 days rest. You can say they only rotated one player, and you can say that maybe you won't get 100% of them. But we haven't seen that in this stadium. We've seen teams come here and make changes. We've seen teams come here on short rest. We've seen teams come here in heat and humidity and play their style and play the way and impose their ability on the game. And I think that you have to, as Inter Miami, until you can develop, match in and match out, what you're going to do to attack teams, because we kind of come up with different solutions every game. It's not one thing, this is what we do. I think Inter Miami have to be opponent-based tonight. Understand what they're going to be in terms of how they're going to be pressed, how difficult the game is going to be, and kind of adjust to it rather than, hey, we're going to take the game to Philadelphia and we're going to make their lives hard. I just think it's unrealistic in their current state.
They didn't have a lot of games, obviously, but that 5-0 against New England, very similar in their approach and very similar, the same in a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how hard is it now to show all 5 goals where we've struggled, to train on certain things and say you can see the same thing again? And can this team make these adjustments right now? It's not the first MLS game they've played. They've seen opponents before. We've played this team. There's no reason for us. I like that, Chris, to be a little bit short-term opponent-based. Okay, today's a 4-4-2. This is what we have to do with the ball, without the ball. This is how we attack, and this is how we defend, and make it very simple.
Okay, I'm putting my foot on the brake again. I know you wanted to jump in. We gave away the starting 11s, but we are going to come back. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into the starting 11. So key players are on the bench for Inter Miami tonight. Obviously, Pizarro is gone, so stay tuned because you're not going to want to miss it.
Sure are a lot of different drivers out there, and AutoNation is here for every one of them. The go-getters, blinksters, haulers, even rock stars. We're America's largest and most admired automotive retailer, and we love getting you on the road. So to all the on-timers, hard workers, and get-out-of-towners, keep at it. What drives you drives us. AutoNation.
Rhythm. It flows through all of us. But rhythms change. That's why Ford SUVs are built to match your tempo.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. And like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual. And it never tasted this good.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new bourbon bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get him on the table! I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Welcome into the pregame show presented by AutoNation. Now, we did talk about tactics. We gave away the starting 11s, but I want to dive deeper into the starting 11. So let's take a look at Inter Miami's starting 11 here this evening. 3 changes to this lineup. Obviously, Gregory comes back into the lineup. Matuidi on the bench.
Yep.
I want to dive. Federico Higuain comes in. Obviously, Pizarro being away with Mexico. And Kieran Gibbs down this left-handed side. Macoun finds himself on the bench here tonight. So let's start with Gibbs in this match. What does he need to do? Obviously hasn't played since January. The fitness level is not there. What's his key to success here tonight?
Well, I think it's ultimately providing a stability of both attacking and defending, not leaving the left winger out on an island, which I think has happened in the last few games with Macoun in the starting lineup. I will say there has to be a little bit of management of fitness and management of the situation from him, because you're not going to get the full Kieran Gibbs experience tonight, or really probably for the next couple of matches until he's fully match fit. I thought he came on at the very least showed some glimpses of what he offers, but you're probably not going to get the full experience. So in my view, it's much more defensive focused tonight than it is about the attack, him bombing forward and joining in the attack. It's got to be about not exposing yourself in huge spaces, being competent in terms of receiving the ball and continuing it and build up, technically being sound from left back.
And I think obviously you've touched on the center back partnership tonight. They have to be sound here. They have to have that communication and really lock in that defense and be those vocal leaders that this team needs right now. Big change in this midfield. Victor Ioa and Gregory get the start. Matuidi finds himself on the bench. What are we making of this?
Yeah, I think that's the real big statement of Phil Neville in this particular game. Being able to say to Matuidi, it wasn't good enough. It hasn't been good enough. I'm going to make a change. The luxury is he gets Gregory back. He's also took the captaincy away from 3 or 4 other players, including LGP, has given it to Gregory. So if Gregory can embody now what this team should be all about in terms of grit and fight and honesty and caring and playing together, that's important to me. And Matuidi has been average at best for a DP, quite frankly. A lot of sideways, a lot of backwards. So I think with this system, you get Federico that likes to look forward well and play forward, like Gregory that likes to look forward and play forward as well. I think that is going to be very, very important. I think you get more energy and better vertical play than you will get with Matuidi, which you haven't gotten with Matuidi at all over 12 games.
And I think that's one thing that we saw last match, just not the ability for the mid play that through ball, get the forwards intact. So what do you make of this change in the midfield with Matuidi finding himself on the bench?
I think it's ultimately about what we've talked about, which is the space in the middle of the park. I think when, in particular, we saw in the second goal against New England, Matuidi was trying to track back, but just didn't get there and wasn't filling in the gaps in behind. So I think if you're looking either for creativity or defensive solidity in that midfield area, and I think at the very least, a combination of Ulloa and Gregory are doing a lot of running. They're buzzing about and filling it in defensive areas. So I think Matuidi has to take this opportunity to really figure out what he's going to be in an Inter Miami shirt, because he's a connector. He's done some little things well, but big things, I don't think it's been good enough for him. And I'll be curious what the response is now the next time we see him in the starting lineup.
I think also the consistency in and around that week in and week out just has not been there. Obviously, Federico Higuain coming into this lineup, playing the number 10, Pizarro out, obviously getting selected into the Mexico national team. What are we making of this? Now, what we do know with Federico and Gonzalo, that partnership that we haven't really seen Gonzalo have with anyone else, Thomas.
They started once together at Chicago, which didn't go well, but the times that Federico, early in the season in particular, and all of a sudden he fell outside of the 18, it seemed like. He didn't get a lot of minutes or only 5 minutes. For him to start, this is huge. And this is not only huge for Federico, because we pretty much know what Federico gives us. But I think if I'm Gonzalo and I want to really make a statement towards Phil Neville as well, with Pizarro gone, and say, my brother is the number 10. And you know what? I'm going to work for my brother today as well, which automatically will happen, obviously. So I think we'll see a more positive mental Gonzalo Higuain. I think that Gonzalo Higuain will read his brother a little bit better. So I think it's a no-brainer, in my opinion, regardless if he can go 90 minutes or not, to help us initially in possession, to help us to get behind people, to help us to connect. He's great at free kicks. We haven't scored yet over corner. So in terms of set pieces, he'll be huge as well. So we'll be very interested to see how the body language of those two guys are, which probably is going to be very positive versus what it was negative with Pizarro.
But what message does that send, though, Chris?
Well, for me, the message should be that Federico's your starter in that position. I really do think so. On a per-minute basis, he's been Inter Miami's best player, maybe alongside with Gregory. And so if he's playing that well, you've been managing his minutes because he's coming off of an injury and he's 36 years old. But I think you throw that out the window at this point. We're talking about a team that struggles to connect the game in attacking areas. There's nothing that Federico Higuain does better. And so why not throw him out there? And you know what? Even if Pizarro comes back after international duty, if he's playing well, he holds that position. Maybe Pizarro plays out in a wide area, or maybe you continue with the lineup that you have currently. But either way, I think Federico Higuain, especially when we're talking about you're playing it long, right, over the Philadelphia press. You need someone to receive the ball under some duress and keep it moving. That's him in a nutshell. And I think at this point, you ride it out until either he gets hurt or maybe it succeeds, and him and Gonzalo are a good combination together. I want to see the two of them have a run of games together and build a combination, because it's probably what they've dreamt of their entire lives.
And I think one thing that Federico does bring is just that getting on that half turn and just sliding by defenders. I don't think anyone has really done that well in that number 10 role. Jay Chapman has had moments where he's been good. He did extremely well. I'm actually a little bit shocked he's not in the 11th tonight because he was one of the best players when he did come on the pitch. And I want to talk about the wingers. Robinson, obviously, he's had moments of brilliance in that last match, and then the goal kind of depleted that. What does he need to do with the mental side of his game here tonight?
Continue to work on what he started out doing so well the first 50 minutes, and then he suffered with the rest of the team, quite frankly, didn't get involved. But we haven't seen the real Robbie Robinson, obviously, over a year and a half right now. Last year, there were some issues as well off the field. This year, it was the hamstring. He looked early on, but he totally forgot about that. He looked very explosive. And I think it's a player, obviously, that wants to touch the ball quite often, and you need to get him involved. It's a guy that you can hopefully isolate, and with his speed that he can get end line or can combine maybe with Federico. I think the key for right now is for Federico not only helping his brother, but can he help those right players to get him into spots with the ball where they can be dangerous. That hasn't happened for Peter Morgan or for Robbie Robinson. I would just hope that Robbie will continue to become better and better each and every game. And like you say right now, just as Chris said, Federico, you get a run of game for the next 4. Robbie, you get a run of games in the next 4 as well. I would have loved to see a 3-5-2, quite frankly, but you know what? Phil decided to stay with that 4-2-3-1. Robbie Robinson is still more of a 9 than a winger, but I think he's going to get better.
And this is why we're up here and Phil's down there.
There you go.
All right, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we got some special guests joining us, and kickoff just around the corner.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. And like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual. And it never tasted this good.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new bourbon bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Islands?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get him on the table!
I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back to the AutoNation Pre-Game Show. Now, this show is nothing, the team is nothing without the fans. And before I get to you two, the fans are starting to roll in here. It is a sold-out crowd, even though performances have been lacking. Now, I'm joined by 2 fans here this evening, Alex and Juliana. The story's pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. You, Juliana, got tickets for your boyfriend for this match here this evening, correct?
Yes, I did. Because he's a huge Premier League fan. He loves soccer. He works for CBS Sports. So I just really wanted to, do something special for him.
I love it. Okay, so now a little bit about you. You're taking my hosting job. I love it. You should just sit here and I'll just sit there. Now, Alex, a little bit about you. You obviously work at CBS behind the scenes. You do it all. So tell everyone tuning in what's your job there at CBS?
So I work actually with Thomas Rongan, who was on earlier with you.
Yes.
And I do graphics for him, so associate producing and helping script out what it is that he wants to focus on when he talks about like Inter Miami and stuff like that. So
How hard is that job working with Thomas Rongan to try to get what he wants to put on paper?
You have You have no idea how excited I was that he brought up his big board. It's such a great like little thing to see him do that every single time. So I was very excited to see that, and his breakdown of how he explains the players and what they are looking to do in attacking, defending, and just formation wise. He's phenomenal at that. So I love working with him. So it's a great time.
Okay, we just have something coming in here. We're going to come back to you guys,
Yeah.
but we have a special moment. It's Military Appreciation Night, and we have a celebration happening on the pitch. Anthony Herrera is been overseas for 3.5 years, and he's going to surprise his family. I don't know about you guys. This like makes me emotional. I'm Canadian, so the military, we have obviously our CMP officers and stuff like that. So having people on our show, it's incredible what they do. And I didn't even realize, obviously, me thinking military, you think, going overseas and doing the hard stuff, but it's actually still in our own backyard that they're providing us with COVID vaccine and screening for all that. Now to have this moment, this is pretty incredible because all of his family has been in military or Air Force to surprise them down on the pitch. I feel emotional. I don't know if it's because I'm a mom of 2 boys now that are American, and so they are obviously, we live in this country now. It's just such a special moment here that Inter Miami are doing, and this is the one thing I do love about Inter Miami. It's all about inclusiveness and being a familia, and the results haven't been there, but this is what matters. Football, at the end of the day, is football. This is what makes football very special, is bringing people like this together.
Brings
So
people together. Exactly.
it really does. It really does. I mean, it's bringing you guys to the game here this evening, which is incredible. Is this your first match here?
This is this is our first Inter Miami game. My first MLS game, to be fair, completely honest.
It's not my first MLS game. I'm from Houston, so normally I'm a Dynamo fan, but
We're gonna
moved
cut that
here,
out.
so I have to kind of convert now.
No, no. There's no kind ofs on set, okay? You're converted or not converted. So we have Herrera now just on pitch side going to surprise his family at the moment. Oh, yay! And I'm crying. Cute tears.
That's exciting.
Whew. Okay, I'm not crying. You're crying, okay?
No, my cousin's in the military, so I completely understand exactly. Like I've seen those videos before, and they always hit you.
I can't even imagine. I mean, I haven't seen my husband in a week, and I miss him, let alone 3.5 years. And what they do and put their lives in danger for us just to feel safe.
Exactly.
Whew, someone get me a drink. I know we're sponsored by Heineken. Someone get me a cold beer here, please. I know we always talk about alcohol on set. All right, so you're obviously a big supporter of soccer. Your first MLS game, we're going to change that. You work at CBS, obviously. They just acquired the rights to European football.
Yeah.
So who's the team that you support?
I'm a big Chelsea fan. Chelsea FC. Go
you're
Blues.
You're just saying that because
it's really great too because they just won the Champions League, so it's very exciting to work with. Just be able to work a company that supports that and just see them do really well under Thomas Tuchel. And it was unfortunate for Frank Lampard, but to see them succeed is really exciting, and I'm hoping to see that they continue to go in the right direction.
Oh, I love it. And what about you? Not Houston. Other than Houston, who do you support? We're not speaking about other MLS teams on here.
Well, I'm actually Brazilian, so I vote for Grêmio, which is not part of the Premier League. It's its own little situation by itself, but yeah.
I love it. Well, I hope you guys enjoy the game. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the pregame show presented by AutoNation. I mean, I'm emotional. I'm lost for words. An incredible moment here pitchside at Drive Pink Stadium, home of Inter Miami. An incredible moment. Stay tuned because kickoff is just around the corner. Inter Miami playing host to Philadelphia Union, and it's set to be a fantastic match.